Okay, we're live.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special meeting of the City Council. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to get public input on the capital budget for 2021-2022 fiscal year and the capital improvement plan for the 2021-22 fiscal year through the 2025-26 fiscal year. So let's get the show on the road.
Okay, good evening and welcome to a special meeting of the Council of the City of Long Beach held Thursday, May 6, 2021 at 7 p.m. We'll have a roll call. Councilmember Delury.
Present.
Councilmember Mandel.
Present.
Councilmember Treston.
Present.
Vice President McGinnis.
Present.
President Bendo.
Present.
Let the record indicate the presence of City Manager Donna Gaden and Assistant Corporation Counsel Joe Lupo. Will now have a salute to the flag.
All right, Mike, you got the big flag behind you tonight. Why don't you lead us in the pledge?
Okay. Hand over heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our only item this evening is a public hearing for the purpose of giving citizens an adequate opportunity to publicly present their views on the general summary of the capital improvement program for the 5-year period from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2026.
Okay, so let's open the hearing. And I guess before we go to the public, I'll just ask quickly if anybody on the council has any questions. Okay, seeing none. Who do we have from the public, Dave?
Well, I believe we have Mr. Fabrizio has his.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's right. I'm jumping ahead. Trying to get the meeting over that much quicker.
Are we done? Okay.
Okay. Sorry, Joe. I was stealing your thunder. All right. I assume you're going to give us a presentation.
Yeah, Dave, can you put it up on the screen, please? Oh, great. Thank you, everybody. Yes, I hope everybody got a chance to go outside today. It was an absolutely beautiful day. My name is Joe Fabrizio. I'm the Commissioner of Public Works. I'm here tonight to present the 2021-2022 capital budget and 2021-22 2025-26 capital improvement plan for the City of Long Beach. Before I get started, I just wanted to thank all the department heads and the commissioners who helped me with this, specifically the controller, Ina Resnick. She was really, really helpful, and I really appreciate it. And as well, the city manager, Donna Gaden. You know, they really, their expertise and professionalism really helped me here. But thank you. So we can go to the next slide. Thank you, Dave. Okay, the 2021-2022 capital budget and 5-year capital improvement plan advances projects that improve the health, safety, and quality of life for city residents. The projects address issues in a priority order, making government more efficient and responsive. Projects this year include a continued commitment to roads and drainage, shoreline, transportation, improvements to police and fire assets, buildings, grounds, which includes trees and dune plantings, parks, technology, sewer, which is the wastewater treatment plant and the rehabilitation of the sanitary sewer system, water, replacing our aging infrastructure and improvements to our water treatment plant, and other things such as economic development. Next, please. As I mentioned, this was my first, I've been working here for 30 years, and I've assisted 4 commissioners on capital budgets, but this is the first one that I've done solely on my own. So I just thought I took a couple of slides to really just walk through the process, because, it was really an educational process, and I don't know if people really realize how much work actually goes into it. So I just wanted to go through it real quick. In January, we basically send a request to all department heads and commissioners to fill out capital project summary forms. In those forms, we ask for the name of the department requesting the project category, description of the project justification, on estimated cost of construction. In February, all of those project summary forms are due. In March, the controller, myself, the city manager, we start conducting meetings with all department heads and commissioners, regarding the proposed projects. Next, please. In March, during that same period, we also perform a comprehensive review of all the existing available funds from prior year capital budgets that are available and have not been utilized. This was actually probably one of the most interesting exercises that I had going through. I looked through every H line from 2015 to the present, and it's probably a discussion for another night, but there was quite a bit of money that was not spent that we're currently paying interest on. That was quite enlightening. That I brought to the city manager's attention, and she was actually brought aware of it, and we've had a lot of meetings about it since. In April 2021, additional meetings are conducted with commissioners and department heads to prioritize the proposed projects. In April as well, the projects are selected and incorporated in the capital budget and the plan. By the end of the month, by the end of April, that is, the proposed capital budget / plan is submitted to the city manager and the council. Prior to the hearing, the capital budget improvement plan is submitted to the city clerk, and it's made available for inspection prior to the hearing on the document. On May 6th, which is tonight, we have the public hearing, so people can comment on it. After the public hearing, I will make any changes based on the comments that I receive. And on May 18th, it's put before the council for a vote. Next, please. This is a breakdown of the capital plan. If anybody listened to the budget hearing on Tuesday night, Ina, the city controller that is, did a really great job of explaining the difference between the general fund, the sewer fund, and the water fund. But the general fund is basically broken down, and for the capital purposes, is broken down into the roads and drainage, shoreline, transportation, public safety, grounds, parks, and technology. The sewer fund is essentially the collection system, the water pollution control plan, and equipment associated with it. And the water fund is the distribution system, the water treatment plant and equipment. Next, please. Highlights of proposed plan. We're asking for 5.2 million in the general fund, 600,000 in the sewer fund, and 4.3 million in the water fund. Grants where bonding is required is approximately 38.2 million. That number is basically the money, most of the money for the North Shore Critical Infrastructure Project that has a $33 million price tag. With the FEMA projects, you basically have to front the money and then you get reimbursed. The grants where no bonds are required, the 18.7 million, that's essentially the GOSER projects, the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery projects. With those projects, it's a little different. It's actually a great program. We don't have to front any money. The contractor basically submits his claim voucher and invoices. We submit them to the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. We get reimbursed from the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery, and then we remit payment within 5 days. So it's actually one of the best programs that I've ever worked on. And we have approximately $18 million under that program. Next, please. I wanted to take you through, and it's a little lengthy, but we've done a lot of work over the last year. I thought it was important to highlight that. So some of the successfully completed projects, the first one on the list we're actually just about finished with. It's going to be finished in June. Anybody who's gone down Edwards can see it. It's the reconstruction of Edwards Boulevard between Park and Broadway. We've overlaid 15 streets, Wisconsin, Park to Ocean View, State Street, Monroe to Neptune, Broadway, Monroe to Lincoln, Broadway, Neptune to Roosevelt, Beach, Riverside to National, Harrison, Lincoln to Franklin, Penn, Long Beach Road to Franklin, Broadway, Long Beach Road to Monroe, Beach, Long Beach Road to Riverside. So we've really stepped up our overlay program, and we're going to continue to do that. Parks and Recreation. If anybody's gone over to Veterans Memorial Park, we removed the existing surface of the hockey rink and put a state-of-the-art concrete surface. From what I understand, I'm not a skater, but it's been well received and it's really getting a lot of use. And we've installed a lot of water fountains at the Veterans Memorial Park as well. Buildings, right outside City Hall here, where we've designed and we're under construction with the rehabilitation of the parking garage. It's in progress. Things are going fairly smoothly right now. We bid out and we will be commencing work on the facade of City Hall probably in the next month or so. You'll see a resolution to award that project that basically involves repairs around the whole perimeter of City Hall to the brick masonry facade. Next, please. Sewer projects, most of the money that we did in sewer was emergency replacement of sanitary sewers. One was the intersection of Walnut and Lindell, which was a big project that we undertook over the winter. It was a collapse of the existing sanitary sewer about 12 feet down below grade. And right now, actually today, we had a lot of problems on this job. It was the north side of West Park between New York Avenue and Grand Boulevard. It started out as one location that we thought had to be replaced, but we've actually done 3 excavations in the last 2 weeks. And I think today we finally successfully completed that repair, and the sewage is flowing and everything's going well. As far as the water projects, we designed well number 19. I'll get into that a little later in the presentation. We demolished the 1 million gallon standpipe, which was the existing standpipe was over 100 years old, and that had to be removed. And we did the design of what's called the enclosure over the open air basins at the water purification plant. Next, please. Now, for this year, the upcoming projects, we have a lot of work on our plate, as usual. I'm not sure if anybody's driven around, you can see everywhere you go, there's some work going on in some fashion. For roads and drainage, we're going to, the next in-house design that we're going to undertake is the reconstruction of Doyle between Eastchester and Pine. We'll design that utilizing our in-house forces, and there's money in the capital budget to reconstruct that roadway. One of the biggest projects that we're working on is the drainage improvements project. That project has been awarded to J.R. Cruz for the general construction and Hink Electric for the electric. It's basically going to be involves Park Avenue between New York to Nevada. They're going to be putting in a new stormwater pump station at Tennessee Avenue, as well as putting a whole bunch of subsurface drainage on that thoroughfare to mitigate flooding. On National South of Park, same thing. We're going to be putting in an entire new subsurface drainage system. It's actually going to mirror exactly what Edwards Boulevard South of Park is going to look like. So both by the end of the year or February 2022, both Edwards and National, which are the main conduits from the railroad, are going to pretty much be identical and completely repaved. So, I mean, it's actually a really exciting project. And the intersection Riverside Pine, we're going to be increasing the drainage by putting in new structures. Another project we're going to be doing is called Park Avenue Resilient Connectivity. The Department of Economic Development retained a $2.5 million grant to basically to do aesthetic rehabilitation of Park Avenue between Long Beach Road and roughly Magnolia Boulevard. The intent is to overlay that entire area, which anybody who's driven it knows it needs it. We're going to be replacing curbs, sidewalks, overlay of the road, new lighting. So it's a great project that's included in this capital budget. The shoreline, again, I've mentioned this project numerous times. Can't come soon enough. It's called the North Shore Critical Infrastructure Protection Project. It's a $33 million project that's 100% funded under the FEMA 404 Hazard Mitigation Program. We're still working with the railroad to resolve some issues. That's the last hurdle to moving forward. We're hoping we can start it by the end of the year. Next, please. As far as buildings, again, we're going to be rehabilitating the City Hall facade, which I mentioned earlier. That's going to start probably in the next month or so. We have money to rehabilitate City Council chambers on the 6th floor, to renovate the 6th floor bathroom to complement our recently constructed OEM building. We have funding to mitigate the exterior of the ice arena, as well as the Martin Luther King Center and animal shelter. As far as parks, you're going to see a resolution in June to replace the pool liner at the recreation center, as well as repair the balcony wall that's in bad state of repair. It needs to be repaired. We're planning on closing the pool in July to do that project. So you'll see a request for a resolution on the June agenda for that project. Next, please. Public safety. I met extensively with the police commissioner, and incorporated in the plan is the purchase of 3 new patrol vehicles, which they desperately need, as well as gators that I think they use to patrol the boardwalk. Also, right now, I think we're going to have, from what I understand, our first female firefighter. So it's imperative that we give them the facilities that they need. It's also going to be utilized by the female police officers. So they're going to be installing a new women's police department and fire department locker room and shower. There's also a whole slew of upgrades, technology upgrades for the police department. The commissioner, he can probably weigh in later better than I can explain because it's a little technical, a lot of the things that they want to do, but they're all needed from what I understand. And also a lot of work in the precinct. We have some funding to do some work in the general work in the precinct. The fire department, this is a little mistake. This actually isn't supposed to be here. This is my mistake. As far as the ambulance, that's actually not supposed to be in the it's actually in the operating budget. It's going to be leased. And the same thing, the PPE, the personal protective equipment, that is also in the operating budget. That wasn't supposed to be in this presentation. It will be removed from the final capital plan because again, these are not in the capital plan. It's actually items that are in the operating budget, not the capital budget. So it shouldn't really be in this presentation, but it was an error on my end. Next, please. As far as the water, we have a lot of work to do on our water system. The sand filters in our water treatment plant, we have 10 of them. They haven't been addressed or rehabilitated, I should say, in the last 20 to 25 years. Our intent, we put $250,000 in the capital plan. That's the cost to rehabilitate 2 of them. We'll do 2, and we have in the budget to do 2 for the next 2 every year for the next 5 years, which will rehabilitate all 10 of them. As far as construction of a new well and well house, the design is underway. Right now, the city has 8 wells, active wells in the city that provides us our drinking water. They come from the Lloyd Aquifer. Unfortunately, 3 of them are out of service. Number 16 has collapsed. Number 17 is getting high salt water readings, and number 11 we're having serious problems with right now, and we fear that it's collapsed as well. So of the 5 remaining wells, 3 are circa 1960. So it's imperative. I mean, it's a big chunk of the capital improvement plan. We have $4 million in there to build a well. My goal is, if this is approved, is to have it built by this time next year. There's a water system component in it, which is basically replacing the water mains on the new roads that we reconstruct. For example, on Boyd Street, there's basically a water, a sewer, and a general construction component. So the water system component falls under the water in the capital plan. And high lift pump replacement, there's 5 pumps that pump the water at the plant. There's money in there to replace those 5 pumps that are need a repair. As far as sewer, we only have $600,000. I mean, again, that's on another slide, but it's basically for emergency sewer repairs, replacement, and for our road reconstruction projects. Next, please. Now, these next 2 slides basically give just a little more detail. It kind of expands upon the previous slides. It gives you a little more detail. I'm not going to go through them all in detail, but I'll explain like the first one and the second one just to give you an idea of what I'm trying to present here. Like the first one is road reconstruction. I'm asking for $800,000 in new funds. There's $31,000 that exists in our from old capital budgets. So in other words, you don't have to bond for the 31 because it's already bonded for. So we're basically going to need 800,000 to be bonded. So that would give me 800. If you add the 2 together, in this case, you'd have $831,000. And this would go towards the Doyle Street reconstruction that we're proposing for next year. Overlays, basically, again, we're asking for 150,000 in new funds for overlays. There's 159 in existing. So if you total them together, we would have 300. Plus, we have money from it's called CHIPS. It's grant money that we get annually. And in this case, we actually have money from PSE&G to do some overlay work as well. So we're going to do a lot of overlay work next year. Our roads are in disrepair, and we're really trying to be aggressive with that. Curb and sidewalk replacement, 50,000. That's with projects like, I don't know if anybody's been in front of Bank of America or for JJ Cooper's. You see a lot of concrete work done in the middle to replace defective areas. That's what that money is used for. That's basically repair city streets and sidewalks. That's what we use that money for. Park Avenue resiliency, I mentioned that earlier. There is a grant that's associated with that. So this $1,025,000 is part of the match that we need for the $2.5 million grant. So it's important that we have that in there. A trolley, that's $68,000 is the city share from the Department of Transportation. 540,000, I should say 540,000 is from the Department of Transportation, 68 is required from the city. As I mentioned earlier regarding the police, we put in 1,028,500 for that's 3 police vehicles, 3 gators, various technology upgrades, and precinct upgrades. The fire department, as I mentioned earlier, this was a mistake. That's not supposed to be on the chart. That is coming from operating now, so that just please ignore that one line. The pool line at recreation, 100,000 of that is going to come from community development block grant money. So the city's obligation to that is only 15,000. We had received bids from a company called Renesis Construction for 114,700. So that $15,000 is to give us 115,000 that we need to build that project in July. Ice Arena roof, we're requesting $800,000 to repair the roof. It's in severe state of disrepair. It needs to be replaced. There's $490,000 requested to renovate fire department headquarters. I've been in there. It's way overdue. They deserve it. They need it. That's work that our beach maintenance department with their skilled carpenters is going to undertake. Next slide, please. Salt storage dome. This is another grant that we have. The grant is for approximately $110,000. We already had 50,000 of it available, so we're asking for another 5. This is going to be a $55,000 match for a $110,000 project. New backup generator for City Hall. We already have 120,000 existing funds. I've gotten recent estimates from consultants that the project is more in the area of $250,000. That's why we're asking for another 130. Roofing. This is to address roofing in areas like our police auxiliary building and various buildings around the city. Tree planting. This is interesting. In order to build Edwards and National South of Park, we actually took the landscaping out of the project so we could come in within budget to build those projects. We took it out so our city forces are ultimately going to do this work in the spring and the fall. So that's what that tree planting money is going to be for. It's basically to landscape National and Edwards South of Park. The fencing is 50,000 just for various repairs around the city. The next 3 are really related to economic development. Patty Bourne is spearheading these efforts. You could certainly ask her if you have more specific questions about those. But it's $100,000 for economic development zoning study, the EAF/EAS for a zoning study, and also $100,000 for a parking study. Sewer upgrades at $600,000. That's essentially for unforeseen repairs to the sewer system and sewer replacements on our complete streets projects. The well, which I mentioned previously, that's probably the most important thing on this list, at least from my perspective. Again, we have 8 wells, only 5 are active, 3 are out of service. Sand filter rehabilitation, $250,000. That's to do 2 in the coming year out of the 10 that we have. And the $100,000 is for various improvements at the water treatment plant. Next, please. So in summary, we're requesting $5.2 million in the 2021-22 general fund improvements and $4.9 million total for the sewer and water fund. The breakdown is shown below there. The general fund is $5,251,500. The sewer fund is $600,000. And the water fund, we're requesting $4,350,000. That total is approximately $10.2 million. Again, it's just as much, it's higher than last year's, and the main reason is the well. If you take out the well, we're more in the range of what a typical capital plan is, but it's a crucial project, and I recommend that we move forward with it. Next, please. And that's pretty much it. That's my summary. I really want to thank, again, I can't thank Nina, really helped me a lot with this, and I do appreciate all your help, and the city manager as well. Thank you, Donna. I really appreciate the time and attention you gave. This was the first one I did on my own, and I do appreciate everybody's input and cooperation. And thank you.
All right, thank you, Joe. I think the big takeaway here is that We're doing a lot of infrastructure work across the city, especially on infrastructure that, quite frankly, desperately needs it. Been a long time coming. And I think the other thing that's worth noting is all the grant money we've been able to bring in to pay for this. I mean, we're talking tens of millions of dollars here that we're bringing in grant money. So this is a very good news story. We're getting a lot of things that need fixed, and we're getting help to pay for them. So, all right, before we go to the public, then I guess I'll circle back since I was jumped the gun there a little bit and ask if the council members have any questions.
I do not, but I wanted to thank Joe for a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job. You guys, I don't think people realize how much work goes into these things. You know, all they see is the end product. They don't realize the months and months of work that go into getting us here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, all right, anyone else?
Not at this time, but I too just want to thank Joe and his team.
Okay. So, all right, Dave, why don't we move on to the public, and who do we have?
First speaker is Kevin Heller.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Heller.
Yeah, Joe, great job. Thank you so much for
Well,
the
thank you, Kevin.
thorough presentation. Just one quick question. I do apologize if you made this point and I missed it. On the $1,028,500 on the police, it's all kind of grouped together, vehicle tech precinct upgrades. I'm just curious if any of those vehicles now or in the future are hybrid or fully electric, and if so, is there potentially grant funding available for that either now or going forward in the future?
Yeah, I don't know if the commissioner's on. Maybe you could talk a little about that because that's a little out of my expertise. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So the vehicles that we're getting right now are the ones that are off a state bid. Our garage really doesn't have the capacity to fix electric vehicles right now with the training. So we're staying with standard vehicles now. I actually have somewhat of a knowledge of really trying to look into electric vehicles into the future, which will be a recommendation in the future because the operating costs overall are lower. You don't have to pay for brakes. You don't have to pay for transmissions. There's no carbon, stuff like that. The issue we have, though, is the number of vehicles that you'll actually need for something like that, as well as charging stations. So you'd have to have vehicles where at the end of a shift, you'd have to have double the amount of vehicles because the cops would have to be able to get into the patrol vehicles, into other cars, so that the cars that they use for the 12-hour tour would be recharged. So there are considerations. It's something that I'm definitely looking at for the future because I care about my planet too. So that's a great question though, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. All right, who's next, Dave?
Next is Roy Lester.
Okay.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Joe, thanks for the presentation.
Sure.
I do have a couple of questions. On the sewer, we're asking for new funds of 600,000, but it says here that we have already $1.4 million worth of funds in existing bonding funds. And the sewer will be taken over by Nassau County. And I understand the 600,000 is for the emergency repairs, but the bonded funds, you know, I'm wondering what that money is going to. And we seem to have a continuation of the sewer, the costs over the years. And I'm wondering what that is about. The other thing I wanted to ask about is the well number 19. Did we get bids on that for the $4 million? And well 19 is not working right now. Is that correct? Because you're saying we have 8 wells. You labeled 3 that were not working, but you didn't label 19 as not working.
Well, 19, I'm sorry, go ahead. You finish your question, then I'll answer them.
Yeah, because otherwise they cut me off.
Sure.
And on police vehicles, it seems like the police vehicles, you know, we're spending 283 for the 3 vehicles, but then we also have allocated 200,000 for the vehicles in 2023. 200,000 in 2024, 200,000 in 2025, 200,000 in 2026. I'm wondering how often we're replacing the vehicles. The other question I have is on the economic development studies. That's 465,000 just on studies. It just seems to be a lot of money for studies. And finally, on the ice arena, we're talking about 800,000 for the replacement of the roof. And yet we only put in $3,500 on the ice arena for maintenance every year. Maybe if we put a little bit more into maintenance, we wouldn't have to be replacing an $800,000 roof or things like that. You know, I look at the well's $44 million and we have 19,000 put aside for it. We're not, you know, I guess it's the maintenance that's bothering me. It's like, you know, not changing oil in a car because you don't want to spend the money on the oil, but we end up then having to buy a new engine. Those are my questions.
I'll try to pick off as many as I can. Well number 19 is the proposed number for the new well. So no, it has not been built yet.
Okay.
The three that, you know, we do have 8 wells, but only 5 are active right now. So 3 of them, one is collapsed. That's it. It's out of service. It's not going to ever work again. Number 17, we're having salt water issues. What happens is you pump it for like 3 minutes and you get these really high chloride readings that are way outside the limits. And then within like 2 minutes or so, 3 minutes, they disappear. And we don't
And
know.
that's the one we just fixed, right?
17, I don't know if it's one we just fixed, but we can't use it. The health department won't let us.
Yeah, I know.
Well number 11 is the one right on Pacific Boulevard. That's the one, that well house with that one. What happens is you pump for the first 5 minutes, it goes up to not 750 to 800 gallons per minute, and then it loses its prime, goes to 0. I've watched it happen. I've been down there. So we're in the process of we did a TV inspection. They're going to pull the pump and do a test pump there, but there's a very good chance that one might be collapsed as well. As far as the sewer money,
No, I asked about bids. Did we get bids on that?
No. Right now, the only thing we awarded was the design. That was at a previous council meeting. We awarded the design to H2M. They just commenced design. You know, I basically told them that I wanted them to hopefully finish the design by the end of this year. Then we'll go out to bid and build it, presuming that this hopefully gets adopted, and build it in the spring of next year.
So the 4 million is just an estimate right now, correct?
Yeah. But I got that estimate is from H2M. I initially actually had 2.5 million in the capital budget before I finalized it, and they basically said that based on what's happening right now in the market, that 4 million is the realistic number. So, I mean, it could be less, it could be more. It is just an estimate. That's correct. You mentioned the 600,000 for the sewer. And in the spreadsheet that we prepared, we do carry it out $600,000 a year through 2025. But if you notice, in 2026 we stopped. We don't anticipate we'll be out of the bit. Hopefully, we'll be out of the sewer business by 2000. It's supposed to be 2024 actually. But as far as this spreadsheet, I continued it until 2025. And 2026, there's nothing shown, I believe.
Yes.
Because we should be. I've been working, and it's probably a meeting I could take up a whole nother evening, the work that's going on at the wastewater treatment plant. But we should be out of the business by 2024-25. So you're correct about that. What was your other question? I'm sorry, you mentioned about
the existing. You have down the existing bonded funds of almost 1.4 million for the sewer.
Yeah, that's very, that's interesting. That's one of the things I mentioned earlier in the presentation. I went through the exercise and not just in the sewer department, but in a lot of the other budget lines, there was quite a bit of money that was bonded for but never spent. And I had a long conversation with the city manager and the city controller about this, and it's something we're really going to work on in the coming months. That if it's not going to be used, it's got to be put towards debt service. Because I've observed a lot of that, and not just in that fund, but in technology, in transportation, and you can see it on the spreadsheet if you look closely on.
Yeah. But
So,
Joe, what I'm asking is,
okay, go ahead.
why do we need the 600,000 new money if we have that money?
Well, because remember you could only use the money for what it's authorized for. So if it says sewer repair in that line, that's the only, you can't use everything else that's on the sewer. It has to be designated by what's
Okay.
authorized, so to speak. So in other
Yeah.
words, only the money that's authorized for sewer repairs can be used for sewer repairs. You can't use like replacing pumps in the sewer department for sewer main repairs. It's got to be what it's authorized for. You could probably explain that much better than I can, but that's one of the things she gave me a very good education on, because you can only use the money for what it's authorized for.
Okay, and I asked about economic development
Yeah,
study.
that's something. I don't know if Patty's on. I mean, these are all.
Yes, Patty's available.
Yeah, she could probably describe. Those are projects that she requested. I don't really have a lot of
Dave,
background.
can you move Patty up so she can speak?
If you want, I can answer the question
He's
on the
not on.
car while he's waiting.
Patty's not on.
Oh, okay. She just sent me a text, said she could.
So
Go
I
ahead,
can answer the
Ron.
question about the cars. So Roy, you asked about why we needed the money going forward.
No,
In actuality,
Ron, I asked the 200,000 every year.
yeah,
Now
going
what?
forward.
Okay,
So maybe I just misstated it, or
Okay.
so in any case, we right now are on a replacement cycle for our cars at 12.3. Every 12.3 years, our entire fleet will get replaced. Typical police car runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and basically is in motion 90% of that time as well. The average aging of a police vehicle in 1 year is equivalent to 3 years of driving your personal car 30,000 miles a year. So we are well below where we should be funded on that, because we are really trying our best to take care of these cars the best we can, and we're recycling older cars by even replacing motors and just kind of giving them facelifts and uplifts so that we don't have to replace our cars as much. We're hoping that over the next 3 years, by replacing the 3 vehicles a year and our ATV fleet as we go, because they get pretty beat up throughout the year too on the beach, running a lot in the sand and in the salt, that as the city recovers financially, we'll be able to increase those funds to be able to make our replacement cycle what's typically recommended for a police department and public safety is every 5 years for police cars. Your larger fire department trucks and stuff like that, when you think about it, they don't run 24/7. They sit in the garage and wait to be deployed. A police car is manned all the time. So we're well below the industry average in cost for our fleet. We have about 37 vehicles, and it's about 12.33 years to replace our entire fleet. Hope that helps.
okay. Was Patty going to come on? Or-
No, she wasn't. So Roy, we'll get
Okay.
you the answer to that question. We'll post it to the website, your question, and the answer to the website like we are doing for the general.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All right. Take care, Roy. All right. Who's next, Dave?
That was it.
Oh, that was it? Okay. So, all right, folks. Thanks for joining
wait a-
us.
Nope. Oh, James Lynch just raised his hand.
Okay.
No.
Might have just
James?
woke up when he heard me say thanks.
Easy, Bendo. Good evening. This question is for Joe Fabrizio.
Hello?
Joe, first, congratulations on your move to the head of the DPW.
Thank you.
Well
very much.
deserved.
Thank you. I
Joe,
appreciate it.
my question is, 4 years ago, the city got a grant, I believe it was 4 years ago, to outline the infrastructure of the walks to replace the sewer and water lines. And as recently as last year, they came and the subcontractor came out and marked out the lines and where all the other utilities were going. And somehow this thing seems to have died on the vine once again. And I'm just wondering, are there any other areas of the city that have clay sewer pipes going back to 1923 that are still in use that have not been upgraded?
To answer the second part of the question, I observed it today on the north side of Park between New York and Grand. It's all clay, all tile, and it's old. So that's pretty much what exists throughout the whole city.
Right.
I do have a map showing like what areas we've upgraded over the last like 25, 30 years. But to answer your second question, you are absolutely correct. That project, it's called the Walks. It's basically upgrading all the water mains and sanitary sewer mains. And you're correct that it has stagnated, unfortunately. The consulting firm working on is DeVercam Bartolucci Consulting Engineers. They have yet to finalize the design. After this meeting, I will call them to find out what the status is. It's definitely been going on way too long. I agree with you. But you're correct. That is a project.
Well,
One project.
okay, so then, can I ask this?
Go ahead, Joe.
If you're going to speak to them before the next, or the ratification of this budget, can that be included? Because other than that, we'll be waiting another 5 years to revisit this.
Well, it's included in a sense, like if you look under the water fund, I think there's over $1 million in there. Unfortunately, I think it's 1.2 million. Hold on a second. Right, under system upgrades, there's a 1.2 million in existing funding. That's not enough, unfortunately, though, for the complete replacement of the water mains, because the intent is to basically abandon the 4-inch water mains that run behind the houses and put new 8-inch water mains down the actual street and then connect all the houses into them. It's probably on the order of 2 to 3 million. So my intent is, based on their schedule, is to probably realistically is the next capital budget is to request additional money in that line for system upgrades, to request, like, say, another $1.5 million, 2 million, so we have ample money to do it, not next in the following year. In other words, 22 after next July.
All right, but it's going to stay on the radar. It hasn't died on the vine.
No, it hasn't. But I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's taking a lot longer than it should, I think, in my opinion. I agree with you. But we have to, what's the word, to get it to grow again. We have to. You're absolutely right, and it's a valid concern, valid point, and I could update you on that after I talk to the consultant. Absolutely. But my goal was to actually, realistically, we're going to ask for more money in next year's capital budget, because this one is a lot higher than I wanted it to be. But the wells was certainly a priority. Was to put additional money in for the next capital budget so we could do it after July of next year.
Understood. All right, thank you.
Okay, that's a good question. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Anyone else, Dave?
Nope, that's all.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Wait. Do we have a motion to close?
You really
Oh,
want to
sorry. I did it again. Wow.
It's okay. Motion to
I'm getting
close.
punch happy.
Who will make a motion to close the meeting?
I will.
Thank you. Second.
I will.
Thank you. Voting, Councilmember Delory,
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel,
Yes.
Councilmember Treston,
Yes, and thank you again, Joe.
Thank
Vice
you.
President McGinnis,
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes. All right. Now I could say goodnight. So thanks for
Great job,
joining
Joe.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, and your staff, and Ina, and everyone who worked on this. Like I said, people just see the end products. They don't realize the amount of work that goes into developing this and the budget, and it's a huge undertaking for the entire staff. So thank you, and we will see you all at the next meeting.
Next meeting is
Good night.
this upcoming Tuesday at 7 p.m.